Sucked her teeth and stormed out of the kitchen. Corinne placed her hands on the marble kitchen counter and steadied herself. She took a deep breath and shook her head. Corinne made a mental note to fire Beulah as soon as she found a suitable replacement. She turned her attention to the piece of paper and read it once more. Corinne ruefully swiped the car keys off the hook on the kitchen wall and walked onto the porch. She sought Dighton and Estelle to inform them that Ernest needed her help, and they were in charge until she and Ernest returned. Corinne got into her car and sped toward the airport. Her heart beat ferociously in her chest, and she gripped the steering wheel so hard her knuckles ached. Her throat was parched from anxiety, and it was difficult to swallow. A lump lodged in her throat, and she was forced to breathe through her mouth. Woo! Corinne arrived at the airport at 2 p.m. and headed for the British Airways terminal. She tried to be as inconspicuous as possible and hid behind concrete pillars. She peeked around the pillars and stealthily scanned the faces of passengers waiting to check in. Her radar detected Ernest standing in line. Was he going somewhere without telling her? He chatted with a pretty blonde girl that stood in front of him. Corinne sized her up to be in her early 30s, about 5'9", with skin kissed by the Barbados sun. The blonde wore a black tank top to amplify her enviable bosom and white hip-hugging shorts to accentuate tanned legs. To Corinne's horror, Ernest hugged the woman around the waist, and the mystery woman turned her head and kissed his lips. His eyes caressed her lovingly, and he reciprocated her smooches. They looked like they were so in love. Corinne rested her head against a pillar and cried. When was the last time he held her like that? When was the last time he kissed her like that? She was forced to face the truth because it was staring her right in the face. Corinne's heart was crushed into a million pieces. How could he leave Gezzy's party to succumb to the whims of another woman? How could he leave their daughter's birthday party to be with somebody else? The saliva in her mouth had an acrid taste, and her tears manifested into vengeance. Grrr. How could he betray her like this? After all she sacrificed for him, leaving her job in the UK and her life there? Corinne lurked behind the pillars and watched the interaction between her husband and the woman. The blonde finally checked in and whispered a few words to Ernest before leaving his side. Corinne watched covaciously as she disappeared into a restroom, equipped with old town orneriness, a bruised heart, and a confrontational nature. Corinne was well armored and deserted her hiding place. She got the dukes up. She was prepared to battle. Jealousy and rage overcame her, and emotion presided over reason. Corinne was going to confront this blonde and inform her that she was Ernest's wife. She was blinded by fury and stormed past curious onlookers who got out of her way when they saw the hardened, contorted expression on her face. Perspiration trickled down Ernest's spine. He had a sense of doom that he couldn't shake. He nervously looked around the airport and witnessed a dark haired lass hiking in his direction. Hiking, I mean, she was like coming. She was on the move. That was his wife. The color drained from his face like sand in an hourglass. He couldn't believe his eyes. Blimey, it was Corinne, his wife. Ernest looked to the left and he looked to the right. He was trapped. The situation was hopeless. How could he remedy this indiscretion? How could he explain it away? He stared at Corinne with trepidation and braced himself for the verbal and possible physical onslaught of rage. But Corinne made a detour and was lost to him in a crowd of people. Hmm. He grew increasingly apprehensive and hoped Paola, the woman he's having an affair with, would hurry up so that he could alert her. Ernest checked his watch and it was 2:20 p.m. Still not time to board the plane. He skidded over to a customs agent at the departure gate and waited for Paola as agreed. Corinne entered the ladies' restroom and found Paola brushing her blonde tresses. Paola put the brush on the counter and reapplied her lipstick. Corinne lingered in front of the mirror and pretended to fuss over her own hair until they were alone. Then she pushed a steel trash can in the restroom against the door so no one could enter. Paola was startled by the woman's actions and wondered why she blocked the door. She eyed her quizzically, like, is this lady crazy? And wondered if the woman was mad. Excuse me, but I need to get out of here, Paola announced to the dark haired beauty. Don't you know who I am? Corinne stated with anger. Her chest heaved rapidly with every breath. No, I don't. Paola's voice trailed off. She scooped the cosmetics off the counter and into the oversized bag. She knew who this woman was. Ernest described Corinne numerous times and recanted vivid stories about her temperament. Paola was scared but refused to show it. Her heart boomed in her chest. You must be Corinne, Paola replied sarcastically, sounded more hawkish than she felt. That's right, bird. So you're the one. You're the one who's trying to wreck me household. Corinne's proper British diction had morphed into a Cockney snarl. She's an old town girl. She knows how to get down. Paola realized she was trapped and had to deal with this feisty creature by herself. She mustered up her courage and assumed an aggressive disposition. Paola resigned herself to a fistfight and refused to be bullied. How long have you been getting starker from your husband, eh? Corinne yelled vehemently in her British accent. Longer than you would care to know, Paola flung the word spitefully at Corinne. You're nothing but a head case, Corinne hollered belligerently. She cocked her head to the side, balled her fists, and rested them akimbo on her hips. I've been in Ernest's life for 7 years, and I'm not going anywhere. He doesn't want you. He's with you because of his daughter. So get out of my way, Paola shouted viciously. Woo! Paola flung the overstuffed handbag over her shoulder and stormed past Corinne. She purposely allowed the heavy handbag to thump Corinne's arm. Corinne seized a fistful of Paola's hair in her hands. She yanked Paola's head backwards, causing her to fall back on the restroom floor. Catfight is on. Corinne dragged Paola by the hair along the restroom floor as if she were a mop. Paola hollered in distress and tried to claw at Corinne's hands, but she could not free herself. Corinne stopped dragging Paola over the floor and released her hair. She bent over Paola, balled her fists, and pummeled Paola's face and head. Paola closed her eyes and flailed her arms wildly, trying to fight back. She tried to sit up, but Corinne shoved her in the face and kneed her in the chest. Ouch! Corinne was furious. She started to yank fistfuls of hair. Payola's head. Payola wailed as bunches of wispy blonde hair littered the restroom floor. Oh my gosh. Payola delivered a well aimed blow to Corinne's shoulder and caused her to fall to the side. Corinne quickly regained control and delivered jabs to both sides of Payola's head with her fists. Oh. An airport worker forced the door open and shrieked at the sight of the two ladies wrestling with each other on the floor. Corinne scrambled to her feet and exited the restroom while the worker alerted security. She returned to her former hiding place and watched happily as the security officers entered the restroom to see what the commotion was about. So I'm going to leave that right there. I'm getting carried away here. I'm reading more than I should, but it's so much fun. So I will see you guys back in the next chapter. And don't forget to get your copy of Gezebel soon. Bye bye.